So welcome to a new episode of Impact Design, and I'm very pleased to welcome today Daan Roosegaarde, who is an architect, an artist, kind of a scientist, but I think it's much better if you introduce yourself because you do amazing stuff around the world, and it's really hard to classify you. So go ahead, Daan, and give our listeners and people who watch us a bit of your background.
Sure. Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm not so much interested in defining, but more in exploring. So I'll be whatever I need to be to make radical ideas become reality. But you're right. I studied arts, master in architecture, surrounded by scientists, and now we're here in the studio in Rotterdam, an old glass factory where the team of designers and engineers and architects are working on making things that make people curious about the future. Basically, that's what we do. Simple.
Fantastic. So I came across you about your Grow project, which I really love, and we are discussing to really work with you on it. Give us a bit of an idea. How did you develop Grow and what is it?
So I think, for me as a city boy, it was so weird to go to the fields during the pandemic and exploring my own country, the Netherlands, and visiting these huge fields that literally feed us, the agriculture. It's not a metaphor, the earth, the soil, the plants, the crops are literally feeding us. And so we got in conversation with the farmers, with Rabobank, which is a very large international bank involved in the food production worldwide, and Wageningen University, a big university for agriculture. How can we show the beauty of agriculture, and how can light help crops to grow better? So it's light for the crops, but also light for the people to inspire. And red and blue light helps crops to grow better. A specific ultraviolet light recipe can help to reduce the use of pesticide because it activates the crop in a certain way. So suddenly the world of poetry and being very practical started to collide. So 20,000 square meter of leek, and we made a movie. We spent many nights filming. It was cold, it was wet, it was rainy, we were tired, and it was amazing. And that just went live, and viral. So we're excited to do more. Yeah,
that's fantastic. And it's this combination of sustainability and exploration. So what is your passion in sustainability, and how do you think it's really important today to focus on that?
Well, if we cannot imagine a better future, we won't create it, right? I mean, it's very simple. So we first have to see it, to think about it, to wonder, to dream, to imagine. And only then we can discuss and prototype and engineer and make it happen. And I miss that in the world of today. We're sort of scared of the future instead of curious. So I think, and I believe that the things that we make here sort of triggers that curiosity to the future. There's not a lack of money. There's not a lack of technology in this world. There's a lack of imagination. And by showing the beauty of a sustainable future, I think you speed up the process of accepting new ideas, accepting new tech. That's sort of my job, to play that, to design that link, that new connection. Yeah.
And so Grow is one of your latest projects. I know there's something in the pipeline for new ones, but can you give us a few other examples of what you've been doing?
In the coming weeks, we're launching Urban Sun, which is a city sun with a very specific light wavelength, 2 to 2 nanometer, which is not harmful for people or animals, but can kill viruses, including coronavirus. And that's 15 months of research, our own time, money, and energy. So we self-commissioned ourselves with the idea that if we're not the architects of our future, we are its victims. Yeah? So we have to design our new normal. And so we're making public spaces safer with that light. It cleans all the air, all the surfaces. So we have spaces where social gatherings are safer. Super sensitive topic. We did a lot of time, and we invest a lot of time and energy in it. So that's one. We're focusing on space junk, the 8.1 million kilo of space waste, which is currently floating around our universe, and teaming up with ESA, the European Space Agency, to capture and upcycle it into new things. So it's really about taking a problem and turning it into a potential and turning it into a poetry. And usually in the beginning, everybody says, you're crazy. No, they don't say I'm crazy because they're polite, but they say, is it possible? Is it allowed?
Yeah.
And now I'm getting phone calls Why haven't you done it before? So that's sort of, we always go through the same cycle, the ungrateful phases of innovation, and that's good. That means that there's some kind of progress.
Yes,
Yeah.
no, I totally agree. It's a kind of educational process you pass, and
Mhm.
you're
Yeah,
always
for me, but also for the
you're
world.
always a bit crazy out there and not the norm. But then when people really understand that it's only the way of thinking is, in constant change and development and innovation, this is the only way we can progress as a species.
Yeah, I agree. And there's such a power in making something, because once I made it and once we put it out there, only then you can think ahead again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Um, yeah, you first have to kiss to get married, right? It's sort of, you have to, it's a bad example, but you know what I mean? You have to sort of do it by
Yeah,
step
you have to
step
have
in order
different
to progress.
steps, and you have to
Yeah,
take people with you on the journey in order to accept
exactly. That is a better way of explaining.
but I like your way too. Very, very easy to understand. So when you do your projects, you get involved like scientists, and who are the people you look for in developing your amazing projects? Is it like from what areas do you get them from?
It really depends on the project. With the Spaceways project, we teamed up with space experts, with ESA.
So you're not talking to Tesla or to
No, I think
Musk.
he is not really focused on that yet, but he will.
Yeah.
For the Urban Sun, we're surrounded with virus experts and photobiology people. So each project creates its own team, but it starts with me waking up at 4 a.m. and say, oh shit, I have an idea. And usually it's like it's not Buddha under a tree getting a letter from God. It's sort of like, oh, it's uncomfortable. And you're like, now I'm going to spend another 2 years of my life to make it. And it's sort of, you're a voluntary prisoner of your idea. It needs to get out. And so it's a flavor in your mouth. You start making, buying groceries, shopping list, cooking. First pancake always fails. I don't know why, but that's how it is. And then in the end, you have your one Michelin star dessert and it becomes shareable. So the team grows bigger. They feed, of course, the idea, right, with their own knowledge and their own expertise, right? So that's really important. So I start the project and I end them. That's my job. Yeah.
Great. Well, it's good to have an idea and bring them to the final product and not just
It's so much work.
designs. Yeah.
It's so much work. It is, and I think people, including myself, completely underestimate the millions, and I'm not saying this lightly, mini decisions which have to be made in order to get this sort of simplicity of the gates of light that we did using the headlights of the cars to make buildings illuminate, or the Van Gogh path, which charges the daytime by the sun and glows at night, the phosphorant. You're looking for simplicity. You're looking for raw, direct human connection when you see it for the first time as a visitor. But in order to get there, you're 80% of the time you're undesigning, you're removing stuff, or you're making sure other stuff does not get into the process because it's noise. But maybe it's good that people don't know,
So I mean,
because in the end it doesn't really. Yeah.
so how do you target your ideas? I mean, I have the same. I wake up very often, have a piece of paper next to my bed, and write down all the ideas I have because they come in the middle of the night, early in the morning. Like you said, I think it's a bit when you are creative, there's no set time to be creative. It just comes out of you. And but how do you like? Is it also like your interest in social causes, in well-being? What is triggering your interest, and where does it come from?
Well, I think our future values, clean air, clean water, clean energy, clean space, are the ones that should drive our decisions. So if we design a city or a car or furniture or fashion or a hotel, should have those elements in its DNA. Otherwise, you're not future-proof. So it starts from there, from that decision, from that ideology. It also starts from frustration. Why do we accept pollution? Why do we have traffic jams? An anthill. Have you ever seen ants in a traffic jam, or birds? No, does not exist. Like traffic jam does not exist in nature, as far as I know. I've never seen it. So maybe the penguins, but they're not really standing in line. So why do we have traffic jams? What can we learn from them? So it starts from inspiration. It starts with frustration, and it starts with the slightly naive notion that what I do, what we do, improves it. makes it better. Of course, you never fully know, but that at least that's the ambition. So the power of being a maker, not just a consumer, and especially I think in a time like this, when I create, I'm happy. It keeps me sane. It gives me the feeling of connectivity to the world, in a world which becoming is more hostile and abstract, and dystopia. So to create is good. Yeah. Yeah.
So when you do your projects around the world, I mean, do people consider you more like an artist? Like, I mean, what would they,
I don't
how,
know. I don't know. I never asked that question actually. Yeah.
and
No. Yeah. To be honest, I'm not that interested in it. I think sometimes, yeah, I'm asked as an artist, as a designer, sometimes as an architect, sometimes more as an advisor. Like, can you think about the future of? But in the end, I'm just a maker. I
yeah.
make things, and I hope that they grow and that society in general feels the values that I try to put in their DNA, and that they embrace it. That it is not just a special in a museum with a sign, please do not touch,
Yeah.
but that it becomes a part of our life, of our culture. That's the beauty of agriculture. Agriculture, it's we design our landscape, we feed it, we create it, it feeds us. So it's really about this creating things which create this interaction between you and the world around you. Yeah.
But I think it's, like I said, it's interesting to bring it into a much broader scale than just an artist that makes something for a museum, or where it's in a confined space and you taking it to the outside, to nature, where
Yeah.
everybody experiences, and it's a whole different
I,
dimension.
I have a problem with it. I mean, again, they're great artists doing great things inside, but even as a boy, I never stayed inside. I always went outside building tree huts. So we did some museum shows. We're doing a big one now, upcoming, in Europe, and we're struggling. Inside is hard. It's like outside I get all these little gifts like wind and rain and
Yeah.
pigeon poop, and like everything is an ingredient, and inside it's sort of mute. And we're like, oh, but so I think I've found a way now to unmute it. But it's interesting how inside is really difficult for us,
I
compared to.
mean, you're in a perfect time, because I think with the pandemic, the whole,
Yeah.
the whole urge to be outside, and also not just now, but in the future, has grown tremendously. And I think
Yeah.
understanding, we have to be more outside.
Yeah, no, we're seeing definitely in our studio a renaissance, of interest for public art and public design. It's completely packed with new projects. Outside is the new inside, so to
Yeah,
speak.
exactly.
And at the same time, one of my missions is that we're not just in this little Zoom screen, all the time in our curated, social media bubble, being robot food, feeding the machines with our hopes, our dreams, our desire. What do we get back? A likey? That's a bad deal.
Yeah.
So the power of public spaces, where we meet, where we encounter people that we don't know, where we're triggered in a way we did not imagine, or maybe we don't want to, but that's a good thing. So I think the role of art is not just to decorate or inspire, but it's also to trigger diversity in your head. And that's what every biological expert teaches. Diversity creates a good system, an ecosystem. If you only grow, rice as a country, you're screwed, right? That's like kiss of death.
Yeah.
So art and design and culture triggers different sides in you, and you need that diversity to be agile when change is happening like today. So it's about being ready for change, not just seeing beautiful things. Yeah,
Yeah, I know.
that's
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. I'm coming already to our last question. So, what is the impact you would like to have on the world, and maybe any message for the younger generation, on what they can, get involved into, instead following a very rigid career in art, design, architecture? What is out there that can make them a bit more free spirited to follow
Oh,
another
well, first of
path?
all, don't listen to me. Just figure it out yourself. I mean, that's step one. But okay, if I had to take an aim at it, I think, don't be scared, but be curious. And when you have an idea, it's important. It's precious. You should cherish that, and let the idea guide you, and feed it with everything you got,
Yeah.
and and yeah, when it becomes reality, it's exciting. So yeah, let the idea guide you, and don't
And then the impact you
worry so
will
much.
have.
Just don't worry so much,
Yeah,
please. Just like I'm also scared, but I'm more curious. Yeah.
I agree. And what is the impact you want personally to have on the world, on the planet, especially with your projects?
Yeah, that my grandchildren, I don't have children now, but that my grandchildren ask, hey grandpa, what did you do when you were young? And I said, well, yeah, we captured upcycle space junk. And then they're like, what space junk? Because it doesn't exist anymore. Or they say, yeah, we built the largest smog vacuum cleaner in the world to suck up pollution and smog. And then the child would ask, what's pollution? Because it doesn't exist anymore. So I would love to become completely meaningless for my grandchildren, that they think I'm really boring and outdated and irrelevant. And yeah, maybe that would make me happy. So let's
I think
see.
that's a great ending and very inspirational. I totally agree. In the time we have right now, you should not give up hope, and you should look into the future and see the opportunities that there are always.
And happen and make it happen. Yeah.
And make it happen. And less talking, more doing. I think that's
what we're going to do now, right?
And we do some. We were discussing some hotel projects. Now that's our next. I'm really excited to do this with you, but we will work on something. That's great. I'll really look forward. Thanks so much for the interview. It was great. Thanks a lot. I hope you enjoyed the episode with Daan Roosegaarde and his amazing projects around the world. Please do share the episode, and we are always very happy for any comments and suggestions. And see you next week. Bye.